Hi, folks. This is David S. He, him pronouns, and this is the final session of Hearts of Wulin Silk and Steam run on the Open Hearth Gaming community calendar. This is a Silk Punk take on the Courtly rule set of Hearts of Wulin. Hope this isn't the first video of this run you've watched. If it is, there's a lot more leading up to it, but let's go ahead and get going with a quick review of characters and players, and I'll start with Jose.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jose, and my pronouns are he and him. And I am playing Le Jalan, who is a gardener at the royal court. And he's also a spy for a revolutionary sect called the Silken Thread. And last time, let's see, what was happening last time? Oh, there was Le Jalan attempted to make contact and did make contact with Meng Lin, who had been someone he had previously poisoned but not killed, and who was back in town with his childhood, with Le Jalan's childhood friend Yin Tiankong in tow as her physician. And he made contact with her, tried to dissuade her from her relationship with Copper Moon, and but wasn't very successful. Then he found his friend had been caught in a fire at his inn, and Le Jalan and Yin Tiankong had kind of a moment in the apothecary where some comfort was expressed between the old friends, but soon after that, that all went to shit because there was an attack on the compound where Menling was, and I'll let the other characters who were more central to that conflict report in on that. But at the end of that conflict, Le Jalan there was a reveal that his own sect, the Silken Thread, had carried out this assassination attempt on Crimson Moon and Meng Lin. And he was kind of in that oh shit moment of the reveal when we cut away from that episode. That's what I remember.
Thank you very much. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin. Pronouns he, him. I'm playing Yin Tiankong, the physician. Pronouns also he, him. Yin Tiankong belongs to a small reclusive sect from Muya called the House of Venom, and he's been tasked with tending to and healing the former lover of Copper Moon, Meng Lin, who was indeed poisoned by Le Jalan. And somehow in this process, Copper Moon has decided that Yin must be eliminated and tried to assassinate him in his hotel room, which caused the fire. And after which there was a lovely little tender moment between old friends, Le Jalan and Yin. And then the attack on the Meng compound happened. Yin rushed in to save his patient. They escaped through a hidden passage, only to find that the assassin was indeed Copper Moon. And now Yin's being invited to stay in the palace of the person who tried to kill him. What could go wrong?
I have a quick question for Jose. Which of your identities has revealed a Silken Thread connection to Copper Moon? Is that Lei Jalan or Wu Lixin?
Well, I don't know if he explicitly said that, but there was a scene between Le Jalan and Copper Moon in the garden where they made a
Right.
connection. And
You did the
oh
hand
yes, I did.
signal.
I used the secret code. Right,
That
that's
was
true.
Lei
So I
Jalan.
did. That was Le
Mm.
Jalan. Yes.
Okay, got it. Just thinking about that. Thank you. And apologies for the interruption. Brandon.
Um, Hi, I'm Brandon. My character is Golden Twilight. She, a very young woman who has been named the heir to the Iron Throne and thrust into the middle of imperial politics. Um, the she is in love with Copper Moon, but found out that Copper Moon was in love with Meng Lin, who has been named previously. And so with great emotional difficulty, she arranged that Copper Moon be spirited out of the palace for an assignation with his lover. During the time that they were together, the house, the inn where they were staying, was attacked by assassins, which you have, the audience knows, came from the Silken Threads. And Golden Twilight drove them off, but in the process of doing so, she has exposed to Yin Chen Kong her alter ego, which is a rapscallion named Silver Willow. But the delicate Golden Twilight could never have performed martial feats such as he has done, and he knows, and she knows that he knows, and that is where. And we ended it with their escaping through a tunnel in the end that led to the outside, and then Golden Twilight offering to them the palace is the safest place against assassination that she could do, not knowing, of course, that Copper Moon was involved in this whole sordid business.
Awesome. And we open with that. Now, I know, Lei Jielan, you messaged me just a little bit before the start of the session with kind of an opening scene that you wanted to cover. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
So just a tiny little vignette I want to do to try to like remove one of my marked elements. I think I'm imagining it's dawn after that night at the attack on the Meng compound. And I think we see Lei Jielan walking in the rose garden of the palace with a bucket in his hand. And he puts the bucket down next to a rose bush and starts pulling out compost from the bucket and spreading it and digging it into the earth around the rose bush. And then he examines like some of the leaves on the rose bush, and we get this close-up, kind of vertiginous kind of close-up of all these little aphids infesting the rose bush, big plump red aphids, like gorging themselves on the juices of the leaf. And then we zoom out, and Lei Jielan pulls out a small box from his robes and dips the leaves into the box momentarily. And as they come out, they emerge covered in ladybugs. And then we get another vertiginous kind of close-up of the ladybugs as they begin to devour the aphids. And the aphids pop in their jaws like ripe tomatoes. and Lei Jielan smiles to himself. And so I'm hoping that contact with the earth and with the garden is enough to clear his earth element.
Sure.
He's trying to get grounded after the insanity of last night and the revelations that he's had. So that was the little vignette I had. And then in terms of scenes going forward, and we don't have to do this right now, but I would like a scene, I'm thinking, between Lei Jielan and some agent of the Silken Thread. And I'm thinking the blind woman that I introduced last time as an agent of the Silken Thread. She was on the street watching the Meng compound. Might be the one to do it. And so I have that idea to try to influence his faction. So
there is also Huan Jia, the seamstress.
Right.
who could also be a potential agent to
Another
speak with,
possible.
either one, whichever you'd prefer to go with.
Cool.
Um,
And we don't have to do that right now, but that's something that I would like to do at some point.
yeah, no issue, no issue. Let me think. Where do we want to begin here then? Golden Twilight. Are you up for a scene if you don't mind my hard framing, or is there one that
Not
you
a bit. Please go ahead.
Okay.
She's much concerned about Yin Chang Kong, but of course, lots of things may intervene.
It's the same night, we'll say.
Oof.
Rain still kind of pouring down, middle of the night kind of a situation. And Copper Moon has summoned you. And the two of you have met in a very kind of dark chamber. You have the back, the sort of a backlighting coming from the sort of paper walls that are have the dim light of lanterns kind of filtering through, but otherwise the chamber itself is utterly dark with the exception of just a few moody candles lit. As is sort of standard for this time of night, Copper Moon is going to come to you with a very apparent sort of almost surrender to you. He seems to be extremely perturbed, very distressed, and he seems to be very reliant upon you. He'll start by saying, Golden Twilight, I have a favor that I have to ask of you on short notice, and I'm sorry to put this to you, but I want to escape from all of this, from the family, from the throne. I want to go away with Meng, and you're the only one I can speak to who would not betray me to our father.
I guess I suppose that I don't have to tell you that it's a death sentence if you get caught. This must mean a very great deal to you.
I've realized, especially with the return of Meng Lin, that there's nothing for me here. I will not ascend to the throne. I'll remain crown prince forever. There are assassins harrying me day and night. Not only myself, but Meng Lin as well. It's no life for either of us. I want to return to Muya, to my homeland.
I have a study that I have not used on him.
Oh, do you still have a hold?
I have a +1 ongoing, and I have a hold. Yes.
Oh boy. Okay. What you thinking?
I've known him for a long time. I've studied him, and I am thinking: is he in earnest? Is the question I wish to ask.
Absolutely, great. Probably smart to ask. In this case, yes.
No, I'm not asking about any other horrible. He's implied that he's tangled. That it's not just that he has, that he has a lover, but that there is things are a mess.
So the question is he in earnest about
desiring to flee with his love?
Yes, he is genuinely earnest about this. He goes on to tell you that while it pains him to ask this of you, especially on such a happy occasion for you, he thinks that your imminent wedding day would be the appropriate time, given that so much attention will be focused upon you and your husband.
I think you are right. I think that is the only time where there will not be so many eyes upon you as to make it impossible for you to disappear. If after the after the sixth rite, and I'm just making up the name of part of the wedding ceremony, you were to slip away, no one would be looking for you until the reception. And excuses could be made. But it is very dangerous.
It is more dangerous for both me and my
After
beloved to remain.
After last night, I can believe that. I will give you every assistance.
I'm forever in your debt, he says. And you can take a bond with him because this is a big favor that he is asking of you. I think you can get that at least.
All right. I have to go before someone connects. Before to remain is to risk. In any letter you send me, use this character, I say, and I trace a character on his palm, and then I will know it is you, and that you mean what you say. Likewise, I in return. So that if you get a message from me, you will know if it is me. And you will know if it has been dictated or coerced, and likewise.
Well,
tell no one. And now I have to go back and make preparations for my wedding.
he thanks you profusely, and if it's cool with you, we can wrap the scene up there.
And I'm going to turn away at this point so that he doesn't see me cry.
Yeah. Okay. Jose, would you like to run your scene at this point, or
Sure.
Yes. I mean, it's will roll my inner conflict.
Oh, are you rolling inner
Are you
conflict?
rolling inner conflict? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm gonna try to be poker faced with him, but it's certainly it's the end of my any likelihood that we will be together. That's an 8. So I'm gonna mark an element. Present a good face.
Right.
Over to you.
Lei Jaylon, you have the floor.
Okay, so I think I am going to go with the old lady.
Okay.
I think I called her Wei Li, and I put her in the NPC tab. So I imagine the scene opens like it's still early morning at a public park in the city, and there are koi ponds here, and we see Lei Jalan. There's a little vendor in a kiosk selling kind of feed for the kids to like feed the koi in the ponds, and he buys a bag of seed, and he says something like, Oh, the day is clear, and the koi will be hungry today, which is like a code. And then he goes and he sits on a bench next to one of the ponds, and he starts just, tossing feed into the pond and watching the koi gobble him up. Yeah, and then I imagine Wei Li, this old blind woman that we saw in last episode. She's not dressed like a beggar this time. She's dressed normally. She comes with her cane and she sits down next to him. And I guess Lei Jilan will keep looking straight forward and say, thank you for coming.
Yeah, it is important that we band together during such tumultuous times. Closeness is advised.
The attack last night, it was vulgar and inept. The silken thread is not known for these things. Such a blatant attack to involve one of the heirs to the throne in an assassination attempt. I'm shocked.
Well, they must be desperate. Something about this Meng Lin. They are threatened by her.
She bears the mark of the blue dragon. Her fate will not be changed easily by us. We need to be surgical in the way we approach her and not ham-fisted. A knife, a sharp knife rather than a sledgehammer. And I think I'm going to try to use this move that I have, the loyal move that I took, which is the Emperor and his brother. And where is it? Let me read it. It says, when you work to change the course of your own faction roll, on a hit, you shift opinion, and then there's different kinds of results. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with, I guess I'll go with Earth, with caution. Let's see, where's the roller? I had it a second ago. There it is. Put some dice in. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's a 13.
Wow.
That's high. All right. What does it say? It says, on a hit, you shift opinion. Choose one. They rethink a major decision. They reinstate someone who has fallen out of favor or give something back they controlled. And 7 to 9, there's a cost. Okay, so I think we can keep playing the scene, I guess, with that in place.
Okay.
Wei Li, you have influence, particular with the seers in the silken thread. My understanding from earlier was that Meng Li did not have to die necessarily. We just have to separate the two of them. Copper Moon and Meng Li cannot be together. If we can shift the plan to that, we may have a chance.
You suggest separating them without killing?
Yes.
How do you intend to do that?
I have some pull now with her. And if I enlist the right amount of help, perhaps she will see the danger she is putting her beloved in, and will withdraw.
Hmm.
If
You
my plan
expect she
doesn't
will.
work, we could always return to the original.
Expecting a woman like her to withdraw from her love of her own accord is a bold assumption.
As I said, I might be able to enlist help on that regard.
Hmm.
The alternative is another round of assassination attempts, which, considering how things went last night, will only enrage the crown.
Very well. We'll have it your way. I'll see if I can't forestall further aggression for some time. But be quick, don't tarry. Figure out whatever it is you need to figure out.
Of course. And he puts the bag of feed next to her, and he stands up and he takes a deep bow. And he says, "Enjoy the koi. You're hungry today."
Yes.
We can cut there.
Cool. So we have that change of this for the silken thread in play. Yin Tiang Kong, is there a scene that you would like to call, or would you prefer that I try to hard frame something?
Yin is struggling to figure out how he's going to survive a night in the palace, but I don't think he has anybody that he could really turn to. He's not really a schemer here. So if you have something to hard frame, I'd love to hear it.
Well, you could generate an NPC in theory. You could make maybe a study move and reveal a detail to say that maybe there's someone here you know that could help, or and set something up that way if you wanted. Alternatively, I can try to hard frame something if you're looking for something more like that.
There is Lady Orchid Whisper, the very first person that that Yin Tian Kong visited when he arrived in the city, Copper Moon's mother. But I don't know what Yin could possibly try and get from her.
Hmm.
Do you have any ideas in mind for a hard scene or a hard frame?
Let me think here.
May I offer?
Yeah, sure.
Not in terms of a hard frame. But the thing, first off, narratively, you have guards. An attempt was made on your life. It's not very difficult to have a guard or two. They may not have that much effect, but they're there. But in terms of what you could get from the Lady Orchid Whisper, is protection. If it became known that it's like she would be very offended if anything happened to you, that would give a lot of people pause.
Yeah, with the guards, given that it was Copper Moon that tried to assassinate
Yeah,
Yin,
no,
it's
that might not do anything. I'm just saying from a narrative
yeah.
standpoint, if you want to have a guard or two around, you have them.
Um, I could go, well, I probably can't check on Menglin.
Yes, why not?
I imagine that would be difficult to get access to her in the middle of the night. Or maybe it's first thing in the morning. Maybe we, unless somebody's going to make another attempt on Yin Tian Kong's life, eventually he's going to, figure out he can actually sleep in this place. But in the morning, he's going to insist that Menglin gets, that he does his normal physician duties and checks on Menglin.
Hmm. Yeah, we can set that up if you'd like to. We can try to put a scene with you and Menglin together.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, just kind of figuring out what the angle is there. Can
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how is Yin Tiankong feeling now that he knows that Copper Moon is potentially violent? Is he still is he
As in, would he
worried for
still
Meng Li?
support? Yeah, would he still support Meng Lin pursuing him romantically?
And how does he feel knowing that Golden Twilight is the same person as Silver Willow, which he also has just discovered?
Wow, there's a lot going on there. A lot of thoughts swirling in his head. Which is interesting because his fire is marked. So it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm thinking the Meng Lin angle. I want to try and engage. I mean, we already know that she's head over heels in love with Copper Moon. So yeah, I don't know. I guess actually no. We'll go to Lady Orchid Whisper. I want to know if there's a history of violence with Copper Moon. So I think that's going to be the framing. Is we still do have to do our physicianly duties with Meng Lin, but that's gonna I think be just rote checkup. Here's your dose of medicine, and then move on. But I would like to go talk to Orchid Whisper, and just ask her some questions about her son. Um, oh, she's probably actually concerned because she's yeah, Copper Moon would be trying to keep it secret that he was at the Meng compound, wouldn't he? Wasn't that was like a clandestine situation?
You would think so. I mean, maybe Lady Orchid Whisper knows about it, but most people probably don't.
Okay. So yeah, I think we're gonna go to Lady Orchid Whisper and um over the course of tea, perhaps coyly ask her what her thoughts on Meng Lin are, and should Copper Moon insist on marrying her, what would her thoughts be? They are both Muyan.
Right, right. Lady Orchid Whisper sips her tea thoughtfully at the introduction of the question. She's a very kind girl, but one of very low status. We're royalty. And there's nothing to be obtained from marrying one such as her. Why, just look at myself. I married into the royal family of Jing to protect my own people. I've told Copper Moon as much, but he has no future with her. It is with other members of Jing that he is best likely to secure a future for his people.
If Copper Moon has ever been in love in the past, I imagine you would know about it. And has he ever been the sort, do you suppose, to be violent in the pursuit of his endeavors?
Violent? You ask interesting questions, physician. When he was a young boy, he uh, trained well with the spear, but excelled most with the bow. He was always a studious boy, though, not one other than a phase where he began reading intently about other forbidden sects, the Six, the Silken Threads, people such as them. Went through quite an interesting phase with that, but those materials were quickly done away with, and he's never had access to them since. No, a violent boy never. Why do you ask?
Oh, I just happened to notice, as a physician, of course, you notice when humors, when people's energies are out of balance, and he just seemed recently to be uh, quite stoked. His fire element, you could say, which, despite all of the rain, I have just noticed him here in court and elsewhere be very agitated.
He smiles mischievously in places, sort of one hand in sort of a mothering kind of way on top of yours, sort of pats it rather lightly. Yin Tiang Kong, she says. You must understand I wasn't born yesterday. I know that you are in the care, or in the charge, or in charge of Meng Lin, and here you come asking questions about her suitability for a romantic engagement. Is Meng Lin interested in my son?
If you have to ask the question, then you haven't been paying much attention. Girl has it all over her sleeves. She could have a seamstress and they could actually make decorations out of her feelings if they paid her enough money.
Well, that won't do. Yin Tiang Kong, while I admire your dedication to your assigned duties, I think it best if we keep you and your girl from my son for some time. I will maybe have to see to it that you are discharged from the palace shortly.
Have I offended you?
No, certainly not. It's just important that during such tumultuous times that my son be not distracted from his more important obligations.
I understand. And if that is your decision, then for the sake of my master, your friend, I will honor it. But as Meng Lin's physician, I must insist that if I am to be discharged from the palace, you will have to come up with suitable accommodations for her.
She would go with you. It's not a problem that you have, it's a problem with her.
Of course, you'd have to convince the Meng family to let her go, though. After all, they wanted her back here.
Be any major difficulty? Why, they're nothing but a famous merchant family, nothing compared to our royal family.
Of course, absolutely. I fully support this decision.
Naturally. Suppose we agree to this then. Uh, Perhaps by tomorrow we will see it arranged that the two of you are cleared to leave the palace. You will be returned into the care of the Meng family, and to the extent that you, Yin Tiang Kong, remain in their employ, you may look after her as you choose. It's simply just far too risky at this point to allow her to remain in too close of contact with my son. You must understand.
Oh, I understand and agree completely. It would be a shame, however, uh, that we would not be able to see each other once more. After all, our factions are uh, they have history together. But I accept that this will be just a short diversion while your son is married and moves on with his life.
Precisely. He is still young, you see, spirited, and not looking far into the future as one ought to. once he is married and has grown some, and perhaps once you are no longer in the employ of the Meng family, you and I shall meet again. Please do not mistake this as a termination of our relationship.
Absolutely. And before I go, you mentioned that Copper Moon had studied the spear by way of book. Do you still happen to have access to those documents? Not for the prince's sake. I'm very new to the martial world, and I have been trying to catalog some of these things for Purple Viper. And so if you have access to his spear manual, I would be much obliged to take it back and read it over the course of, say, the rest of the day today.
You ask the strangest things, Yin Tiang Kong. Oh, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Uh, among my own personal possessions, maintain a copy of the manual. My son discarded it some time ago, but you understand, a mother can't get rid of her son's things. He adores them too much. If you if you're sure that you will return it to me before you leave the palace, I see no reason not to provide it to you for Purple Viper's satisfaction, of course.
Absolutely, of course.
I will have my servant delivered it to your quarters eminently.
Thank you very much. It is always a pleasure sharing tea with you.
Likewise, Yin Tiang Kong. I hope to meet you under perhaps more relaxed conditions in the future.
Certainly. I hope this rain will end soon.
Is there anything else you'd like to do before we close the scene out?
Um, I I don't think I triggered any moves necessarily. Impress would be the only, or Hearts and Minds, but she's already giving me what I want. So
Yeah, we role played it out just fine.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, and you and as promised, a servant arrives at your door within a half hour with a very beat up old manual. Looks like it's been collecting dust in some storage room for the past decade or so. But it's the manual, so you have that to your on your person to do with as you choose.
Okay. Yeah.
Going in order, Golden Twilight. You agreed last to assist Copper Moon in escaping from the capital on your wedding day. Is there anything that you'd like to do following up on that, or other things?
There's all sorts of things, but since I can only pick one right now, I think what makes the most sense here. Can we say that the wedding proceedings, that the wedding things are moving at this point? Because I think that would be most interesting.
I excuse me. I was gonna say that, no later than us coming back from the break, I'd like to have the wedding going on. Yeah.
All right.
But we can expedite that if there's something there that you would like to do.
Well, no, I'm just for narrative purposes, I just like to propose that things have kicked into high gear, and so that all the parties involved are having to devote a fair amount of their attention to getting ready for things. The thing that makes the most sense to me here is so I'm going to try and make subtle arrangement for Copper Moon's escape and his rendezvous with his love, as I promised.
Okay.
And this is not like one big action. This is a whole lot of little bitty actions. This is, a whispered word in the ear of someone, and a quiet bribe, paid to someone, and to a small diversion, obtained at the right moment, and just all of these things that will pull attention away from Copper Moon at the appointed time, and cause those who might otherwise be looking at him to turn a blind eye or find important business elsewhere. That is plausible. And I think this is actually a game of court move.
Okay. getting
this
everything
is-
set up for the escape.
Yes, this is not a, this is, working the system,
Yeah.
really, that I know very well. And it's something that I can do while I'm, while they're, in between, bouts of getting dressed and the priests coming up and doing the premonitory blessings, sprinkling the holy water and going and spending seclusion time in the garden, like as Lucian and I are supposed to do briefly, and I'm just assuming that from the little I know of imperial weddings, they're extraordinarily involved day-long things. So this is getting done just by little gestures and winks and whispers and things like that from people that I know, or that at least I hope I know, will do the right thing.
Yeah. You get double points for spending influence because of your error move, I think.
I do, and so I'm going to spend both influence on this.
So you're rolling at a +4 then.
So yeah, this is something I haven't really done before, but it's what the character is built around. Okay. So let's see how it goes. Pretty good.
Okay. So without a hitch.
So you may feel free to interpret this how you see fit. But I think that the things that make sense are to slow or divert one of their plots, and if I perceive that two groups are trying to interfere, I will use both of those on that on two different people.
Sure.
Otherwise, the other thing that makes sense is sort of obtain or close off access to protected object or person, which is make it difficult to get to Copper Moon when he makes his move, provide him an exit.
And if anybody tries to intervene, then you also have the slow or divert the plot hold.
Yes, I'm creating basically, I'm creating a diversion that is going to make people think that that nothing remarkable is going to happen, or that something remarkable is going to happen that has nothing whatever to do with Copper Moon. So maybe an angry demonstration or a feigned attack on someone not involved as part of the wedding. That is a diversion that will make people think that something is happening, and then protecting Copper Moon so that he is able to get away without being spotted or attacked.
Got it.
Okay, so that's and I'm going to send a message to Wuli Shen, which is a formal inquiry to my husband to be. And this is actually, I'm going to say this is part of the ceremony. So this is a formal ask, of a confirmation, that is supposed to have a formal answer of affirmation. This is the equivalent of speak now or forever hold your peace kind of thing. And it is an elaborate, beautifully calligraphed document, because it is meant to be saved and treasured afterwards. So you get that.
And is the tradition that I respond immediately, or
The tradition is that you have a response ready actually and sent off, because these
okay.
are these are not things that can be dashed off. You know, maybe at some point in history, somebody, took out their response and burned it to show that they were spurning the wedding or something. But this is a horrible, scandalous, horrible thing. But they still had a response. No one ever didn't actually have one, because this is something that has taken a scribe probably, several days to do.
Well, knowing Wulishin that he would have something prepared then.
Oh yeah, it's all. I mean, it's all paid for. Because this is an imperial wedding. It's all paid for. You don't have to worry about that part. Okay. All right, I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay, no problem. All right.
I'm also going to send a note to Yen Shan Kong,
Oh,
asking
okay.
after the health of his patient, and explaining that I cannot get away before the wedding, but I might have a word or two with him if he finds the time to come by my chambers.
All right.
And
Anything?
it's phrased as an invitation rather than a formal, request or command.
Right. Any other things on your end?
Not before the wedding.
Okay. Uh, go back to maybe Lei Jaelon. We probably have time for at least one more scene with you and with Yin Tian Kong before we take our break, come back and maybe go to the wedding. So just if there are any other kind of preparations that you want to make there.
I think Lei Jilan is going to try to reach out to Yin Tian Kong. Now that he's established something with the silken thread. So I think maybe when Yin Tian Kong goes back to his quarters and the book is delivered, maybe when he opens the book, he finds a slip of paper in the book. And it just says, "Come to the pear orchard." And he knows the handwriting.
Hmm.
Ooh, danger. All right, yeah. Yin will head over to the pear orchard.
And yeah, there's not a lot of people there. The blooms have already kind of faded on the pear trees, and Lei Jilan is has a pair of pruning shears and is kind of taking off the last of the dead blossoms when Yin Tian Kong appears. And I guess he turns to Yin Tian Kong and says, "Old friend, why did you bring Meng Ling to the capital?"
It was at her request.
I see.
She was not willing to. She was unruly. She was shouting and throwing things. She insisted, with what little strength that she had, that we take her back to the capital with all due post haste, and she had just enough strength to annoy Purple Viper.
Hypothetically, if your patient decided to jump into a raging river, an angry river at the flood of spring, because she thought she was a fish, would you allow it?
I would attempt to stop her. If I was under the impression that something was afflicting her mind.
Some say love is an affliction of the mind and of the heart. My dear friend, it feels like you have jumped into that river with her. And you ask me to stand on the shore as she potentially takes you down with her. I can't do that. I cannot be idle while you are in danger.
But you would ask me to be idle while she is?
I would ask you to find a way to pull her from the river, from this situation, a situation that neither of us are in control of, and that is inherently dangerous to both her and you.
What do you propose?
If we can separate the lovers, I believe I can keep Meng Lin safe from any future attacks.
Is there a possible hearts and minds to apply pressure here, or do you just want to put that out there as is without the mechanical bit?
I don't know. Should it be mechanical? I don't know. Or should
That's
be
up to you two.
What do you think, Kevin? Do you just want to make your decision, or do you want the dice to make the decision for you somehow?
Or maybe inform your decision.
Or inform your decision.
Let's let the dice inform. Let's see what happens.
Okay. All right.
This
Then it's
conversation didn't go well last time.
This didn't go well last time. We'll see what
It
happens.
can't always go wrong, can it?
Hey, don't jinx us.
Well, so far we have very good rolls from Golden Twilight. One of you two has to bear the brunt of.
It's going to be me on Inner Conflict again.
Yeah.
All right. So on Hearts and Minds, I choose an element. I'll choose Earth again as caution. And let me just see something. Yeah, okay. And I guess I need the roller. All right. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh no, it happened again.
Do you have a bond?
Let's see. What do I have? I have an influence. I have a 1 forward. No, I have no bonds. I do have a +1 on going to Meng Lin, but I don't know if it applies here.
An echo of your previous conversation.
Yep.
And I can't really. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be weird to try and assist using comfort and support to give a +1 bond to affect me.
Yeah,
But,
that would be just no need for the roll.
Yeah.
So how do you react? Yeah.
Lei Jilon, if you could mark the element you rolled with as well.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. Speak obliquely about the heart. I worry that Meng Lin, you see her just as this central figure in fate, and maybe she is. But there are storms that are silent at the center of them, and strongest one ring just outside. You see Meng Lin as all of the shadows and assassins coming bearing down on her. But what if she is not the focus here?
What do you propose?
I could not possibly tell you what my plans are. And oh, how I scheme. Because that is what I do. Gosh, wow. Yin just got super fucking bitter.
Sarcasm. Wow, that's new.
Yeah, and actually I think Yin would deliver that. So I'm using sarcasm, but I think Yin would deliver that actually quite coldly. I think he has still that echo of the conversation of Silver Willow with Silver Willow in his head. And yeah, I should never tell you my schemes. You should know that the House of Venom never divulges its plans to outsiders. You spent a whole summer with us and you didn't even learn that. But oh, how I plan and scheme, and how I, of course, will make sure that Menglin makes it out of this city alive. And it would not be because of you or your silken thread. I feel like one of us should roll inner conflict, and I'm not really sure who.
I think maybe I'm not sure if I'm conflicted. Well,
I mean, my general entanglement is definitely being like
yours is
poked at here.
Yeah.
Dave, would you mind if I just roll inner conflict and just see how the dice roller wants to screw with me today?
Yeah, sure.
Let's well, let's see. Earth feels most appropriate for disdainful and uncaring with all of the things that I just said. Although uncertain, isolated, depressed. Oh wait, no, I can't use water. It's my style element. So yeah, I think we're just gonna do flat roll with Earth. What could possibly go wrong?
Flat roll.
That's a 6. Because the dice roller just God, it's never going to end, is it?
Nope.
It's
Don't
never.
suppose you have any
Fate.
bonds, do you?
I have
this is
none
fate.
bonds.
This is fate. It is fate. Accept it.
I have none bonds right now.
Mhm.
So it gets worse. I feel like I just made it worse just in general.
Mhm.
But by golly, I'm so sorry. Oh man. That's 3 inner conflict misses like in a row.
So you get 2 XP for what that's worth. Brings you up to 2. Lei
Last
Jilin,
session.
how do you react?
I'll give you another little line that Yin might say. So after all of this, he'll conclude with, "This world wants me to be a monster, and I will show them the monster that I can be."
I think Lejelan, I see Lejelan putting his hand out and then retracting it immediately. And bowing his head for a moment. And he says, "You are no monster, my friend. I'm sorry things have come to this between us." And I think his knees buckle just a little bit. And actually, he sits down on the ground. Go with your ward. I will do what I can, even if you don't want my help. And he's sitting there amongst all the the basket that he was holding with all the dead blossoms has kind of tipped over, and all the dead blossoms have kind of scattered onto the ground underneath the pear tree.
And we'll turn around and start to walk off past the epiphylium plant, and notice that it's still a bulb, still not expected to bloom for another 2 weeks. And we'll do the wuxia, the glance back, and say, for what it's worth, I wish we could go back to that summer again.
And
I wish that
smiles wanly, wistful smile. Sorry, I cut you off.
no, and I wish we could go back to that summer again, and that autumn would never come. And then I think we will make our exit.
Okay.
Let me check one thing on the character keeper. Okay.
Who's gonna try to kill me today?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Yin Tiankong, are there any other things that you'd like to do just real quick before we take our break?
Also, I went ahead and marked the earth element. I just assume that's a given, since that's what I rolled with. But I would like to study I was going to study the document, but I feel like I need to do like a healing montage, but I don't know what exactly that looks like because Yin doesn't have a whole lot of faculty in this place. Maybe he just goes back and treats Meng Lin because that is his happy place, helping others.
You could talk to Golden Twilight.
But looking for something a little more quick and montagey.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, I think maybe I do just want him to go and study the spear manual. I don't know why he thinks he's gonna fight Copper Moon with a spear, or Copper Moon fighting him with a spear, but worth knowing what your assassins how they like to fight.
Sure. Did you want to do anything mechanical with that, or is that going to be kind of a way to clear an element, or or is there anything you wanted to do with that?
Originally, I wanted to try and do a new technique in case he was above my scale, or study to see if he is above my scale when using a spear. But I think I would just like to focus on clearing an element. And so if there's other elements to this book, maybe, it's like a travel log where it's like, oh, I spent 3 weeks in Italy. Here's my recipe for risotto. Maybe there's other elements to this the spear manual about the people or the life of those who develop the techniques, and he'd rather just read about them and center himself. And in so doing, hopefully unmark like wood.
Okay. Yeah, that's reasonable. Let's see. Anything other than that?
I'm good.
Okay. In that case, it's 20 after right on the dot. So let's do 10 minutes, come back at 1/2 past. Okay, we are back. Yin Tiankong, you're up. We're doing a lot of kind of hard framing here because we only have so much time left in the series. But I think essentially, how do you want to go about discovering that Meng Lin has disappeared? Do you show up that morning, or is it a middle of the night thing, or when do you realize that she's gone?
I think at dinner is the first time he would notice her absence, um, and make an excuse of, oh, she needs to have her night medicine. I should go and check on her. And that's how you would get past the guards. And then it's in Menglin's room that, like, no, she's gone. So it'd be in the evening after dinner.
Hmm. So you go back to her room, and I imagine there's a candle still lit. Or maybe a gas lantern, because this is Silk Punk, but there's a lantern still lit. But she's gone, and so are her things. Her possessions have been packed and they're off.
She probably, if she has an attendant here in the palace or whoever was tending to her room, they would be my first angle of, where is Menglin? There was a woman staying here. Where is she?
Right. So, um, hmm. Yeah. So, how about this? We won't even make you roll a study move for it. How about a guard says to you, you kind of going about the halls and interrogating people, maybe with some amount of fervor, and a guard eventually says, after maybe two or three saying, I don't know, I haven't seen her, I didn't see her, I didn't see her. One guard says, well, I did see her go off with Copper Moon. He had summoned her for a meeting of some kind.
I'm going to go to Lady Orchid Whisper if she's still available, if she hasn't turned in for the night.
She's about to, but you can catch her right before, perhaps.
And it's this is all cards on the table. We have to go all in. I need to speak with you in private.
In Tian Kong, whatever's the matter? Come along this way. What is it?
Your son has abducted Menglin and is probably attempting to flee the city. Furthermore, do I drop that bomb? No, let's start with that. Your son, Second Prince Coppermoon, has abducted Menglin and is probably attempting to leave the city as we speak.
In Tian Kong. How long did you know about this?
That depends on what exactly you mean. Whether it was their relationship or an attraction. I didn't even know the two had been seeing each other. I arrived in the city but a few days ago on Menglin's insistence, and she sent me to go and try and make contact with them. I don't know when they met.
You mean to tell me that you were her personal physician, her sole confidant for all these months, all this time, and not once did she inform you that she had a relationship with Copper Moon? Or is it your implication that he has stolen her? It's impossible for him to have stolen her when she herself had an attraction to him, as you said yesterday.
We'll take a deep breath and try and recenter ourselves. And he tried to kill me in my room last night, two nights ago. I don't know for what reason. But a swordsman came and attacked me in my inn. The inn burned to the ground. But I got a clear look at the assassin, and it was Copper Moon. All of those strange questions that I asked you today, Of course they were strange. I'm not good at this courtly thing. You know that. Or at least certainly you should have figured it out by now. But now I need your help. And you need mine.
I'm thinking hearts and minds to see if this goes well for you or not.
Yeah. I agree. I don't have a move here that would apply, but oh, does water or metal make more sense here? I think control and calculation make a little bit more sense than awareness and wisdom. So and it's +2. Good Lord, this dice roller hates me. That's an 8.
And still got the 8. Yeah, that's fine.
So they may do what you wish or instead choose to, and then those are the options. Is that your choosing of what they do?
Yeah, that's the MC's call on this one.
Cool.
She tightens her jaw and her eyes narrow. And she says to you, I will allow Crimson Mountain to be the arbiter of whether your heinous accusation proves true. You are under arrest for now, Yin Tian Kong. And if we are able to recover my son, and he supports what you say, then perhaps he will survive. Otherwise, you have uttered your last words. So we'll treat that as an overreact, but you get a bond with her.
All right.
What do you do? Do you allow yourself to be taken into custody at this time?
I'm certainly not fighting my way out the palace. So yes. As short as it may be, I will go through the prison arc. There's always a prison arc in Wuxia.
Sure. So, Wu Lixin, are you eavesdropping on this one? Or will they
Seems like
Shalon,
I
as it were?
must. It was too juicy a conversation not to eavesdrop on. Although, of course, we don't know what the dice roller is going to do.
But it makes sense. It makes sense though that you don't have the chance to become a gardener, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe since I could do it as Wu Lixin.
Just don't get spotted.
Just don't get spotted. So it could be a classic stopping at the door kind of and listening at the door kind of thing. Because it is late night, right? And Wu Lixin has some access to the royal chambers since he's about to get married into the royal family. So I think we just see him, walking down the corridor, hearing some voices coming out of Lady Orchid's chambers at such a late hour. And he just slips into the shadow there near the door and hears the voice of his old friend, agitated and maybe speaking a little too loudly. And let's see what happens.
Okay.
All right. I have to pick an element, right?
And you're doing this as Wu Lixin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and yes, do you select an element?
It could be either curiosity or calculation. Let's say it's curiosity. That would be wood. All right. I don't have that many elements left. All right.
Yeah, it's running, the well's running dry.
I'm running low here on elements. All right. Okay, good. I did not fail. I got a 10.
Okay. So this goes off without a hitch.
All right. So on a 10, then I hear everything and manage to escape without detection. So I think he hears everything, and then the moment that Lady Orchid Whisper calls for the guards, Wu Lishen hurries on down the hall and down a corridor before the guards arrive.
All right. Maybe we should cut to you then. What do you want to do with that information?
Oh shit! Okay, now what do I do?
If anything, it just seems like a natural transition.
Yes, I have learned. So just to put this into perspective, it's late evening, we said. And is the wedding tomorrow? Is that what we're talking about? Or
I thought he was escaping during the wedding.
he was escaped. So right. So I'm a little confused about where we're at then.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just preparing their escape. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we didn't really decide.
Yeah.
Well, he was supposed to escape during the wedding because that's when the
Everyone
focus would be.
distracted.
Yeah, the focus will be. Nobody will be particularly looking at him except, he has like a couple of ceremonial duties, and then nobody's going to be looking out for him. So that's the only logical time he could get away.
Yin could have totally misread the situation. All we know for certain is that Meng Lin is missing and had a according to a guard had a supposed rendezvous with Copper Moon.
Right. So he might have just been filling her in on the plan or something, and then she might be back in her quarters now.
Yeah.
Oh God, wouldn't that be awful?
It would be dreadful.
I like
Copper Moon, all innocent there for the Lady Orchid Whisper to go. This is aha. It's just being lied to. Ugh. Poor Yin Chen Kong.
So I think Lei Jalan I mean, there has to be some attempt to assist his friend, because he just promised that he was going to assist him whether he wanted to or not, and now he's just made this foolish declaration
and been thrown in prison.
Been thrown in
so
prison
maybe the assistance is busting him out before he gets put to death for spreading false information.
He's put to death for spreading false rumors. So how would that go? I'm just seeing I'm seeing the dungeon cell where Yin has been tossed into unceremoniously. But the guards are needed for preparations for the wedding tomorrow, etc. So it's just a general like dungeon keeper. I don't know what you call him. And I think Lei Jalan shows up with a basket of buns that he's gotten from Quick Creek, who is always baking in the early morning. And these are warm and they're fresh and they're very fragrant. And he sets it down for the jailer, who loves his buns. And I won't follow up on that. Sorry.
He likes his baked goods too.
Bum. And so Lei Jalan says, you don't want the captain to see you, so there's an empty cell over there. You could take this whole basket over there and finish them off yourself. And when the gluttonous jail guard goes over there, Lei Jalan goes over to the door of the cell where Yin is. Yin Tiankong.
I'm here.
Here is not the place you want to be, my friend.
If you mean the jail cell or the city, I'm afraid you're correct in both cases.
In which case, we have to get you out of both of them.
That would be treason.
Is death better?
Oh, I mean for you. Why would you do this? Why would you go through with this? You owe me nothing.
Stop saying that. Stop it. I will see if I can find the key to this cell. In the meantime, sit tight.
I'm afraid there's little else I can do. I'll try and talk you out of this foolish action.
Again, I ask you, what alternative plan do you have?
I've never had a plan for these things, you know that.
Of course, I know that. I've known you for 20 years. You have no plan. So it falls to me. Sit tight. And so I think I don't know how to play this mechanically, but finding a way to maybe Lejalan drug the buns with an herb that he had Quick Creek bake into the buns. And so I don't know if there's a role that you want an overcome maybe or something to see if gluttonous jailer passes out or not.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. I have some ideas as to how that could go.
So the jailer's not going to forget who brought him the buns.
That's
So
true.
you are burning a bridge pretty hard.
I
Yep.
said this is what Yin did is foolish. This is treason. But I'm all for it. Drug buns. Let's go.
Hey, it's the end of the thing. Why not?
Let's do it.
Foolhardy. All right, buns. It's an overcome roll, and this will have to be with metal probably because it's
Yeah,
calculation.
Very calculating.
Okay, so that's a fail.
Okay.
Oof.
Wow.
Wow.
So what kind of a fail is it?
Yeah, yeah.
fail.
Do you come back to be surrounded by guards, thrown in the jail?
Well, he definitely didn't fall asleep.
No.
What do you say to this? What if you were a bit overly successful and you've accidentally killed him?
Oh. Jesus Christ.
Or somebody may have seen you coming into the cells.
I like the overdo it one.
Well, it could be both. Like you mentioned Golden Twilight, it could be you killed him
Oh,
and someone
great.
saw
I
you
killed
do
him
it.
and someone saw me do it. Double failure.
Because if he's just dead, that's just success with a complication. But if someone saw you do it, that's almost like a full
That's a hard
miss.
move.
Right.
Mhm. Is that what you want?
I'm fine with that. And you did this as Lei Jaelon?
Le Jalan, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So, what do you do then? No one's surrounding you, no one's targeting you at this point.
Okay, so Le Jalan grabs the keys and comes back to the cell and he unlocks the door. And he's looking a little shaken because he doesn't know exactly what he's going to do about the dead guard.
Right. I will say it occurs to you that you will probably have to don your Wuli Shin disguise and stay there for a real long time if you want to not be arrested or attacked on the spot.
Right. One of my covers has been blown. So I open the door and I say, flee. Don't look back.
if I step out of this cell, then I am exactly who they all say I am and who the House of Venom is. They will associate me with traitors and seditionists, revolutionaries. Why should I not just sit here?
It's too dangerous, Yin Tiankong. Lady Orchid Whisper is fickle and does not like people accusing her son of violent acts. Even if it were true, even if she believed it were true, she would suppress the knowledge and sacrifice you without blinking an eye.
Is that what it's come to?
This is a hard world you've walked into. You're not in Muya anymore.
I certainly understand why Purple Viper prefers the seclusion of the valley. Fine, I'll go. And yeah, I guess this is Blades in the Dark during escape time. Unless there's, unless there's no complications to I feel conflicted because again, Yin wants to try and help Meng Lin, but I feel like it's kind of beyond him now. I
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah. That's your call. You can kind of choose to play that how you want. You can enter conflict it or make a more decisive decision about how you want to go. But as it stands, you've been put under arrest and your guard is dead, and now you're escaping. So it doesn't look good for you.
Right. So I feel like I can't. Leishalon might have made this argument a little bit obtusely, but it's really hard to be someone's physician if you're dead and help them if you're dead. So I think we're going to adhere to that wisdom and we're going to try and make our way out of the city.
Okay. So you're making your way out of the city. Lei Jaylon, anything that you want to do before we cut over to Golden Twilight?
What will Lejalon do with the body?
Also, I just want to ask, there's absolutely zero way to save this guard, right?
Oh, that's right.
Well, you have a move to
I
save
do have
people. If
I
you
do
wanted
have-
to use that here, I'll allow it, but yeah.
But you might have to stay.
Oh God.
Yeah, there
I
would
was
be
thinking 5
complications
deadly
with it.
venoms, but I have the promise.
Yes, but you'd have probably have to stay and take care of him, right? Because it's not like you can just inject him with something and run.
This almost feels like move stacking because both the promise and 5 deadly venoms could possibly apply here if the guard is not actually
Absolutely
like dead.
Maybe Lejalon says, too, I have to deal with the guard. I overdid his sedative. He may not survive.
I can't resist. Like this is the one thing Yin does. Like I can't just let a guard die from poisoning in my presence. Do you
No, I
could redeem you. This could redeem you. It's just great.
Yeah. I have an idea as to how this might go if you'd like to use one of those moves.
Honestly, I like to use both of them. Well, okay, so actually, technically, 5 deadly venoms only applies if you're using overcome. The promise is a different move entirely, but I think the promise is the one that applies more here.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I'll ask questions about like, what poison did you use? Why would you use a poison without an antidote? That's one of the rules of the House of Venom is you never use a poison unless you have the antidote with you. And yeah, I'm absolutely going to roll this with water for wisdom and flexibility and awareness. All of those kind of apply.
Okay.
This is do or die.
Literally.
Well, for the guard. For
Jilan,
this,
are you getting out of there? Are you endangering yourself by staying around?
that's a 9. Um,
You have a bond.
I do have a bond. I could also ask Lay if he wants to try and help me with this. Find, once I know what poison it is, I can identify an antidote or anything like in the household kitchen or the nearest room that could possibly be used to drum up an antidote. He just has to go and get it for me.
Mm-hmm. But how do I help in this game? I don't remember. Don't I
It'd be
have
comfort and support.
Comfort and support.
Oh, a comfort and support role. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I can see Lay running back to the kitchens to Quit Creek to get the information and a potential antidote for this, even though he's far along. He ate a lot of buns. So let's see. I have to roll comfort and support. I have to choose an element. And overconfident, angry, licentious, no. Unsatisfied is scared, maybe. For metal.
Sure.
All right, so here we go for metal again. Oops. Well, it's a 7. What happens on comfort and support in a 7?
7, you can just give a bond.
Give a bond, yeah.
Yeah, you just give them the +1.
All right,
She
that
can
brings me up to
immediately
a
spend.
10. Yeah.
Okay. So, describe how that looks, and then I think that hard move from the inner conflict roll from before is going to come in.
Oh my God.
Nice. That's right. We haven't done that.
So just to kind of like tie into a little neat bow, kind of the stuff that I described earlier is when Yin Tiankong sees this guard foaming at the mouth, like turning blue, he starts to go about this escape process and goes, wait, what did you use on him? And get the name of the poison and like just rage. You never use a poison without an antidote. That is the rule that the House of Venom has applied to for hundreds of years. And then after that momentary scalding, it's like, okay, I need and we'll start listing off just a couple, like, 2 or 3 ingredients, things that would be in the kitchens, which, not terribly far away from us. And then the rest of it I can probably find around here. And then send Lay off while we get the guard elevated. We get his upper body. We, sit him up against the wall while Lay is going and rummaging around in the kitchens and harassing poor people who are trying to just clean everything up for the night. And then when Lay comes back, we mix up this little poultice really quickly, form it into something resembling a pill, and just kind of like gently shove it behind his teeth, massage his throat to get it to go down. And then put our hand at the back of our hand on his head and say, I think we got to him just in time. He's going to be out for a while and he's going to have the world's worst headache when he wakes up, but he will live.
Will he remember anything?
Probably. I don't know. He might just remember eating these buns that you gave him, and it could possibly just be written off as indigestion now that he has an antidote. That said, I don't know if I would take chances in this house.
It may be time for both of us to leave this house then.
It's about this time that a beam of lantern light emerges from around one of the dungeon corridors, and you hear a voice say, this way, the passage out is almost here. And around the corner, of course, come Copper Moon and Meng Lin. Copper Moon wielding, of course, a short spear, because, of course, this is a close quarters kind of area. And they are going to run just about right into you. And we will cut back to Golden Twilight.
Actually, I want to know what happens there because
Well, we can-
what can I possibly do that's because this is this is the thing that I've been trying to affect, right?
Well, we can cut back to them if you'd prefer. I just would hate to have something so climactic happen without the opportunity for you to insert yourself in some fashion if you wanted.
Well, but this is but in other words, I really have to insert myself, at that moment or right after, right? There's nothing I can do that's going to change that since it's framed that way. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, we can all. I mean, was there something that you would do if it was framed different?
Is there something about your preparations? Because there were all these preparations that were kind of nebulous. Is there anything that might be relevant to what's happening now?
There absolutely is. But let me get your all's take on this. And then I'll put my oar in. Is that all right?
Sure.
This is where the drama is.
Very good.
Preparations are not dramatic.
Copper Moon tightens his grip about the spear and narrows his eyes at both of you. So, one of the old silken thread, the same who tried to defeat me last night, and you, Yin Tian Kong. You've conspired to bring things to this. Step aside, he says to the two of you.
Just take a look over at Lei Jilan, like, I have no idea what to do here. Then we'll look back at Copper Moon, and why did you try to kill me 2 nights ago? What have I done to you?
I'm gonna double check one bit here. Sure. Hmm. The House of Venom is untrustworthy and has long been at odds with a faction that I have held dear to my heart for some time. For you to ally yourself with the House of Venom when my own silken thread so frequently fights amongst your own kind, you clearly must. You must have some motive to separate Meng Lin from me.
You should look to your mother for that.
I know that she would never accept this sort of love between the two of us. And that is not her fault. And if I have misjudged you, and you in fact seek to allow us to remain together, then you will step aside.
This plan cannot succeed, my prince. Meng Lin, you know this. The assassination attempts will continue wherever you go. The prophecies of the Silken Thread are clear. The two of you cannot remain together and be safe. And he looks at Meng Lin and he says, if you truly love Copper Moon, you must part ways.
Is that a hearts and minds move?
I suppose. Yes, sure. Let's see what happens.
I think you have a +1 here.
I do have a +1 ongoing with her. Yes. Let's see. I have to pick an element. I only have 2. I'm going to do patience. I've been trying to convince her for a while.
I think also, Yin Tian Kong, I think that Copper Moon will also imply that it was your faction that was responsible for poisoning her in the first place. And he remains unaware that Lei Jaelon right there in front of him is the one who really did it.
You bastard.
And I left that out, but that's probably an important thing to
Sure, yeah,
contribute.
yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So he'll say something to that effect in his growling speech as well. He'll say that it was your kind who poisoned her, you the masters of venom, and she the one afflicted by your own treachery, and here you are claiming to protect her, blah 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 blah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, I don't know that Lei Jaelon was the one who poisoned her. I just know it was the Silken Thread.
Right.
Okay. You bastard.
But you could jump to conclusions.
Been doing that all night.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it's a 10.
Uh-oh.
So on a hearts and minds with a 10 on an NPC. Oh no, and that's +1 for the, I forgot to do the +1, so it's 11, but it doesn't make a difference. They bow to your words and do what you want.
So what do you want her to do here?
I want her to see that she can't be with Copper Moon, that if she truly loves him and is concerned with his safety, she will back down from this plan.
Would you have her vacillate just for a moment, David?
Huh? Am I gaslighting?
No, would you have her vacillate just for a moment?
Maybe it's
by vacillate, do you mean kind of like back out, or
no, hesitate?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's definitely going to suddenly begin to tremble and shake, and her frail constitution is starting to become quite aggravated.
Yeah, I'll let you interpret what that means. That's
Right.
what Lei Jaelon wants. I'll say.
Right. Yeah, her commitment to the plan is definitely.
I understand that. I'm going to use a move.
Okay.
Someone with a sensitive nose, maybe Yen Chang Kong, smells a tiny, I mean, there are burning candles around, yes, of course, but this is a slightly different scent. And you hear the word no. And it's Silver Willow.
Oh, you have a move for that. Yeah.
I do. Would you it may be that they will always be in danger, Lei Jaelon. But if they are parted, they will be destroyed. I have seen into their hearts, and they truly desire each other and nothing else in this world. Away from this city, they have the chance for happiness. Here, apart, they have none. Would you deny them that? Yin Chen Kong, would you? And of course, Yin, you know this is Golden Twilight.
Mhm.
They have more allies outside than you may know. That is as much as I can say without compromising them.
Is there a move here so I'll know how to proceed with the narrative a little bit more?
If you want me to make a move, I'll make a move.
No, I don't know. You guys were referring to a move, and I wasn't sure what you were referring to.
Oh, that's just the move. Have sword will travel.
That is what allows me to appear.
Oh, to appear. Oh, to
Yeah.
appear.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
I can arrive in time to aid or intervene, and so
Right.
this is a dramatic, which is why I was being coy.
My only concern is and has always been Manglin's health. Actually, that's a lie.
You should be
'Cause,
concerned for your own right now, too. But that is another matter. Find it in your heart to be kind to two people who fate separated and who are striving with all of their beings to rejoin, who everything and everyone conspires against. But yet who will only ever be happy with one another. In Chen Kong, I know you have a good heart. And Lei Lan, I have to hope that somewhere deep in that web of deceit, that there's a genuine person.
You are more romantic than me. Silver
Yes.
Willow.
I come by it honestly.
I have brokered an agreement with the Silken Thread that if the two lovers are separated, they will be safe.
I understand. That does not mean that if they are together, they are doomed. And I understand that you can make no promises in this regard. But if you separate them, you might as well. You might as well say, well, you may be safe and imprisoned for your life. For your heart is held by another, and you will never see it again.
But the decision is not yours, Silver Willow. It is theirs.
It is. But you can stand in the way, or you can give them your best wishes and let them go. You can let fate do what it will and put your hands in no more. And this is what I am asking you to do.
I will not stop the lovers. But he turns to Mei Lin. But Mei Lin, what is it that you want, knowing all you know now?
I just want to be with Copper Moon. Why do you have to insert yourselves into our affairs like this? Just let us go. I don't know. And you can see that her resolve is trembling. She wants to be with him, but you've gotten through to her, Lei Jielan, with the assassination attempts will continue and people will continue to take after you. And there's, is this something that you can actually stick with, that kind of thing. So she's kind of paralyzed at this point.
What if everyone could get what they wanted? The Silken Thread can have a dead Meng Lin, and Copper Moon can have his love. There are certain combinations of poisons that do not kill, but give one the appearance of death. Yes, I'm going hard Shakespeare here. Let's do it. But I don't have my medicine bag anymore. It was burned in a mysterious fire that took my inn from me. But I might still be able to make things work with what we have in the palace gardens. We can make Meng Lin appear dead. Copper Moon can leave the city for an appropriate time for grieving, which is also what the Silken Thread and, well, no, Lady Orchid Whisper wanted Meng Lin to leave. Well, we could fake Copper Moon's death. He didn't want to succeed anyways.
No, that doesn't work. Copper Moon, being a royal, would be entombed in the family vault. But never mind.
Lynn's death would satisfy the silken thread.
Would you report it as such, Lei Shenlan?
Which herbs are you thinking, my friend? Would you stop her heart and then resuscitate it?
I would use epithelium to lower her body temperature, to give her the appearance of death. Anyone that feels her pulse would feel, they would have to know what exactly they were looking for to feel even just the faintest little beat of a heart. But her skin would be cold and pallid. She would have no breath that one could feel with just holding their hand to her nose. They would have to use sophisticated tools, which certainly only dedicated physicians would have on them.
Some say that when someone is near to death, fate loses track of them, and their destiny can be rewritten. Perhaps this could work.
I have a friend who could see that the physicians have no great suspicion of the death of an invalid.
But you also have to understand that if there is a poison, there must be a poisoner. If we do this, I've already been accused of treason.
You have to go, or at least hide.
I'll return to, well, I won't tell you where I will go, but I will have to leave the city. Then you place all the blame on me, say that it was a vile scheme from the House of Venom. Tell them we are the monsters everyone says we are.
I don't want to do that.
We don't have a choice. This is the only way.
It should be me.
Yes. There is another who can take the blame.
I knew you would agree, Silver Willow.
I'm sorry, Lei Shenlan, but you've done enough damage. It's time for you to go. I don't wish your death, but you can't stay. And I'll honestly miss you.
Make your decisions. I'm going to go to the garden and get what the herbs I need.
So then the plan, this is just going to be talking through this here, is to use these herbs on which?
Meng Lin, I think, is the...
Meng Lin.
Yes.
And then when she is found to be dead, she will be sent off to burial, probably back in Muya.
Back in Muya.
Yeah, but her body will somehow not make the trip.
It'll make it probably across the Muya border, but then it won't make it to the actual gravesite. We'll make those arrangements with the parties that we need to later. That's a tomorrow problem. Today problem is
Yes.
getting Menglin fake killed.
But can't we make it appear that she is an invalid after all? She looks close to death at the moment. Would the poison be obvious? I don't know what's better. Should we have a tragic someone falling on the sword, or both of us falling on the sword, or
Always go. I would always go for tragedy, but it's fine for me if you guys don't want to.
Yeah, I think the plan is probably good. Who's taking blame for it? Or all of you, or
The silken thread, of course.
Silken Thread collectively?
Yeah,
Okay.
some unknown silken thread person.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think keeping things loose just because we're not all master murderers here, or Shakespearean playwrights. But I think the general idea is that the silken thread is going to poison Meng Lin. Yin Tian Kong will reveal the poison because he's a physician and he can do these things. He can identify these poisons. And when Meng Lin is meant to be buried, she will go and cross her body will go and cross the Mia border, where Copper Moon will be waiting to scoop her up, and they will run off into obscurity or wherever they decide to go.
Mm-hmm.
Or Copper Moon's agents if he can't attend personally, but he'll find a way. He'll find his excuses to get out of the palace, and they'll go and live a happy life somewhere out in the countryside.
That's for the epilogue or the next episode or something.
I think does that sound like a plan for everybody? And if we need a specific fall person, then it's going to be Lejelan. At least
Sure.
that's what it sounds like the plan currently is.
Sure.
Well, also the guard is going to remember that Lejelan was down there, so he is actually probably the easiest fall guy.
Oh yeah, the guard is going to remember sooner or later.
Sure.
He could actually corroborate our story.
Well, and that's in some ways just as well, because I don't know what you folks plan on doing about the wedding, but Wu Li Xin, you're going to have to be in Wu Li Xin form for quite a while.
Right.
Going forward. So now it's just as good as any time for Lei Jielan to duck out.
Mm-hmm.
So does that work for folks? I don't really know that a role is necessary.
It's very romantic. I mean, something could always go terribly wrong. But...
Yeah. The thing is, for me, I don't know where a role would be called for or really even necessary. Unless
the closest thing might be overcome, but I don't. There's pressure, but it's kind of nebulous pressure.
Well, it's an overcome to make sure that like some random thing doesn't trip up this fairly elaborate plan, right? It's very much in genre for like just the wrong person to show up at the wrong time, to bring the house of cards crashing down.
By strict letter, it does look like we are kind of doing a game of court. We are attempting to put plots and schemes into action. But the thing is, I don't have any influence. I don't know if I should be the one.
I have one.
Yeah, I have none. I've used mine.
I could do a game of court if the failure would be interesting. I think we want to roll if the failure will be interesting.
Right.
If it's not going to be interesting, or it's just
the failure.
Yeah, that's true.
The failure would have to be some big fight.
Yeah.
Which makes an overcome make more sense.
I'll leave it to David. Do you think we should do a game of court roll here, or should we just play it out?
So the question is, do nothing, game of court, or overcome?
Oh, I guess we could do an overcome too. That's a different possibility. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the pick list for game of court here.
Certainly overcome is straightforward, and
Yeah.
this is clearly under pressure. I mean, because this has to be executed, quickly, or it will just come apart.
The responses on the pick list on Game of Court is interesting, though.
Yeah. Hmm.
Or we could do no roll and just allow it to happen and play it out.
Yeah, I'd vote for overcome or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what would you folks prefer then? I'll let you decide if we want to just kind of do nothing, play it out, and essentially go to epilogues from here, or if we want to maybe do an overcome, see if one last wrinkle can be introduced, and then decide what we want to do from there.
Well, I'd still like to have the wedding, so I'm fine having no role here and just everything goes off with a hitch. Everybody seems to be aligned, the enemies and allies here, in a rare show. So I'm fine going to saying that this all goes off without a hitch, and then we move on to the wedding and see if a complication comes up there.
Fair enough.
Okay. So that's fine then. And so I suppose what we'll say then is that Nenglin is essentially comatose. Copper Moon is able to stick around for the wedding. Yin Tian Kong, you're still.
I still need to get out of the town. I still need to get out of the city, at least until our fake story. Well, at least until our fake story like grabs.
Well, you have to get out of the palace. You can
Yeah.
The city is huge and choked with celebration, so you can certainly be there without anybody.
I have a suggestion. What if we cut right there, everyone kind of looking at each other about this, and then we go straight to epilogues? Because the wedding, I don't know if the wedding itself, I mean, we only have 20 minutes left, if the wedding itself is going to be eventful, so much as the outcome of the wedding. And so then each of us could write our own outcomes in epilogue form. I guess it would depend on who goes in what order, but that's another option.
That's fair, yeah. If we still want to leave time for like stars and wishes too.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds sensible. Okay. Well, in that case, maybe we'll go to epilogues from here then. Is there anybody who wants to go first? I hate to call on people because I want to give people time to think.
I just want to put in one very brief note, which is Yin Cheng Kong, as you are turning to leave to kind of get lost in the city, having accomplished your task, Silver Willow puts her arms around you and kisses you on the cheek. And she's off.
I think Yin will look up at watch her vanish into the crowd and look back up at the airship, the same one, similar at least to the one that he came into the city on. Wonderful little rhyming poetry for the end.
All right. You want to go, Jose?
No, I'm thinking if someone else has something ready to go for their epilogue, they can go first.
My epilogue depends on your epilogue to a certain degree.
No.
Can buy some time. Short little montage of Yin getting back on the airship. Days pass, weeks. Nondescript cart crosses the Muya border, and Copper Moon's agents open the curtain and see a well and healthy Menglin sitting there as the poison has worn off over the course of travel. And she's, sipping a cup of tea in the carriage, and the two are reunited and swept off to tales and legends unknown. We go deeper into Muya, past the bamboo forests and down to a little secluded, idyllic valley, frog jumping off a lily pad, waterfall, little houses made of bamboo and thatch. And Yin is explaining the events as best he can of what happened with the curious case of Meng Lin, where she's gone, the interference of the silken thread. And Purple Viper takes a long drag on one of those long pipes, because that's the kind of Shifu she is. And she says, for a long time, the silken thread and ours have been uneasy allies, so long as the Lord of Iron sits on that throne. But for them to so boldly try us in this way, well, it doesn't bode well for the future of our alliance. And Yin nods. She says, and you need to stay in the Valley of the Medicine King for a little while longer before you go running off to the city again. But just know that I am very proud of you.
Is that where we're gonna close things out for Yin Tian Kong?
I think so.
Okay. Lei Jilon or Golden Twilight, what about you?
Oh, and then one last little detail, since it is about 2 weeks in the future when all of this happens, is just outside the house in the Medicine King Valley, where the House of Venom resides, the epiphylium flowers are just now coming into bloom.
Finally. I think we see Wuli Shin. And this is it's the following spring, actually, because the pear blossoms are back in blossom again. And he's walking through the orchard. And as he's walking through the orchard, he comes across, again, Wei Li, the blind woman. This time she's in kind of the regalia of someone of high status, in a new disguise. And Wuli Shin looks wistful, and he says, "Well met." And she says, what does she say? Your novel solution has proven unpredictable. The seers are in disorder. The future is unseen. May the gods have mercy on all of us from here on in. And she continues walking. And Wu Lishin looks over his shoulder and again smiles ruefully at her and comes to the tree where he had that last discussion with Yin Tiankong. And looks at the blooms on the pear tree and says, who knows what new possibilities might bloom in this unforeseen future. And then he continues to walk through the orchard. That's mine.
Okay.
Golden Twilight. She settles into married life. In Chang Kong, after a good time, you receive a letter, which is unsigned, but it has the imperial stamp on it. And it is a scroll with poetry done in calligraphy in an ancient style. That says, the winds of heaven lift up a good heart. And back in John, Golden Twilight is alone in front of a small outdoor fire in a fire pit. And she takes a bundle out from under her arm and she tosses it on the fire. And it's clearly been like soaked in naphtha or something like that because it burns readily. But just enough is lifted on the ashes that you can see its silver willows clothing. And after it is all burned up, she reaches down and she puts something in the ground and then she steps back and a graceful rocket arcs into the air and bursts in a purple chrysanthemum. Actually, no, bursts in a silver willow pattern. The dangling many colored lights that slowly descend and then go out one by one like stars. And she wipes away a tear and she returns to her duties.
Okay. I suppose that's it then. I think we cleared all 3 epilogues, and yeah, that's the game. So I will go ahead and close things out here on the recording, and maybe we can do just a quick debrief and wrap things up there. So thanks, everybody.